You are having a perfectly calm morning. Then a highly stressed coworker walks into the room. Within seconds, your own smile vanishes, your stomach knots, and your shoulders tense up. You haven't exchanged a single word, yet you feel terrible. This is emotional contagion, an involuntary biological transmission that allows someone else's mood to physically install itself in your own body. While everyone catches emotions from time to time, those with a trait called sensory processing sensitivity experience this at a much higher volume, processing environmental information with a greater depth than others. Without a way to manage this sensitivity, the body stays on high alert. Over time, this leads to measurable physical detriments, chronic stress, exhaustion, and a complete breakdown in emotional regulation. To exist in high-stress environments without absorbing every negative emotion in the room, we have to look at the specific neurological loop that makes us so vulnerable to others. Transmission begins with mimicry. In your prefrontal cortex, specialized mirror neurons kick into gear, unconsciously compelling you to imitate the facial expressions and body language of the people you see. This creates a feedback loop. Mimicking a stressed expression routes into your brain's emotional centers, signaling your body to generate that stress. Contagion is complete. Your limbic system adopts the emotion, triggering a fight or flight response, even though the stressor had nothing to do with you. This loop is even more powerful for those whose brains are trained to stay hypervigilant. Through epigenetics, where your environment changes how your genes are expressed, past trauma or childhood experiences can make the brain attuned to others as a way to stay safe. Since this is a mechanical, biological process, we can use specific physical circuit breakers to systematically shut the transmission down. The first intervention is a somatic override. This is a deliberate physical action to halt the limbic system's active fight-or-flight response before it overwhelms you. Deep belly breathing is a specific physical signal to your parasympathetic nervous system that you are completely safe. It forces the body to move out of its reactive state and back into a state of rest. Once the physical alarm is quiet, you can use a cognitive override. This involves a process called cognitive restructuring, where you consciously challenge the automatic beliefs and hot thoughts you've just absorbed. This technique is a pillar of cognitive behavioral therapy, pioneered by Dr. Aaron T. Beck. It works by identifying the evidence for and against a negative thought to find a more balanced perspective. You apply this by establishing a baseline. By pausing to check how your mood shifted the moment another person entered the room, you can identify which feelings are yours and which belong to someone else. This simple act of identification severs the link between the mimicry in your prefrontal cortex and the panic in your limbic system, returning control of your internal state to you. We often think of boundaries as aggressive walls, but in practice, they are simply intentional rules that help you navigate relationships without losing your sense of agency over your own feelings. You can implement these rules through the 4 A's framework: avoid, alter, accept, or adapt. It's about recognizing that while you can't control others, you can control your environment. If a conversation is draining you, you have the right to alter the situation. That might mean setting a time limit on the interaction, or taking a physical step back to move outside that person's immediate energy field. There is a clear line between empathy and absorption. Empathy is the ability to connect with another person's perspective. Absorption is what happens when that connection lacks a boundary, leading you to own those emotions as your own. You're having a calm morning. Then a stressed coworker approaches. Within seconds, your shoulders tense up, and your brow furrows right along with theirs. When the person on the left experiences stress, shown as jagged red shapes, mirror neurons in the person on the right automatically fire, copying their anxiety. While this biological mirroring is an automatic reflex, keeping that stress is entirely preventable. You can block the transfer. By mastering a 5-step mental toolkit, you can maintain deep empathy for the people around you without acting as a sponge for their negative energy. Let's walk through the steps. Step 1 begins in a high-pressure environment, like a tense morning meeting where a manager brings an agitated, chaotic energy into the room. The standard reaction here is to internalize the tension. You might assume you've done something wrong, tighten your posture, and let your own heart rate spike in unison with your boss. The intervention requires a specific emotional intelligence trigger. You need to consciously notice that sudden, uncomfortable shift happening in your own body. Once you feel that physical change, ask yourself one diagnostic question. Is this feeling actually mine, or does it belong to them? If the answer is them, take a single deep belly breath. This physical action signals biological safety to your nervous system. As you exhale, mentally state, "This isn't mine." Establishing your own emotional baseline in this way creates a barrier. It prevents external, environmental chaos from dictating your internal reality. Step 2 deals with emotional vampirism. We all know someone, a colleague or a friend, who endlessly vents their frustrations without ever seeking a solution. Often, we sit through these venting sessions out of guilt. We act as an on-call therapist, listening patiently until we feel completely exhausted. The trigger for this step is tracking your own stamina. You must recognize the exact moment your energy bottoms out and the interaction tips from supportive to overwhelming. At that moment, make a mental pivot. Accept that offering support to someone does not require you to become a martyr to their problem. Execute the boundary physically. Politely excuse yourself from the conversation and move at least 20 feet out of the person's immediate physical space. That distance pulls you out of their immediate energy field. Creating this physical separation preserves your capacity to care without depleting your own reserves. For step 3, we have to address situations where walking away isn't an option, like a tense, critical conversation with a family member. In these trapped moments, the destructive instinct is to take the criticism personally, get defensive, and let the other person's anger damage your self-esteem. Instead, you must adopt a deliberate internal mindset. Consciously decide that their anger belongs exclusively to them, and you are not obligated to carry it. You can reinforce this by deploying a mental shield. As shown in this diagram, visualize an impenetrable bubble surrounding your body. When those jagged arrows of criticism come toward you, picture them hitting that barrier and bouncing harmlessly to the ground. This visualization technique gives your brain a functional defense mechanism. It guards your ego from emotional shrapnel when you are trapped in a volatile environment. Step 4 applies to brief transactional stress, like dealing with a grumpy barista or an aggressive client over the phone. Your automatic instinct is usually to match their negative tone. Doing so guarantees the interaction will spiral downward. To avoid this, consider the concept shown here on screen, the thermometer versus the thermostat. A thermometer simply reflects the heat of the room, but a thermostat actively sets the temperature. You can act as the thermostat by offering a genuine, eye-reaching smile. Because of those mirror neurons, the aggressive person's brain will mimic your positivity. Weaponizing positive emotional contagion allows you to neutralize hostile environments rather than letting those environments neutralize you. Step 5 takes place at the end of the day, when you finally arrive home after navigating crowded spaces, demanding clients, and highly stimulating environments. A common mistake is carrying all that absorbed stress right through the front door and misdirecting your frustration at a spouse or your children. Before you engage with your household, pause. Notice the lingering residue of the day's stress on your current mood. Wash off that residue using a physical decompression ritual. This can be washing your hands, changing your clothes, or even making a physical brushing motion off your shoulders. Ritualizing the separation between the outside world and your private space allows your nervous system to stand down, sustaining your long-term emotional resilience. By applying these steps, you reach a successful end state. You spend your evening feeling vibrant, calm, and fully present with your family, completely unaffected by the chaos of the day. Keep this graphic in mind. Check your baseline, enforce a 20-foot boundary, deploy a visualization shield, turn the tables, and finish with a decompression ritual. True empathy means understanding another person's pain. It does not require absorbing that pain as your own. Tomorrow, pick just one of these techniques to implement and reclaim your energy. If you found this helpful, subscribe for more emotional intelligence tools.